interesting topic. Look forward to an interesting presentation. Over to you, please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, all of you. I am Garima Gupta. Am I audible?
Garima, you are.
Yeah,
We
please
cannot
share your
see you.
screen,
It will be
ma'am.
good
Please
if
share
you
your
could.
screen.
Yeah, I think we can also see your presentation now. Perfect. Please
Yes,
go
sir.
ahead. Yes.
Yes. So just a minute. Yes, sir. So, good evening to all of you. I am Garima Gupta, student of University of Delhi. My presentation is on cities as emerging centers in a circular economy, an assessment of Indian cities. I have co-authored this paper along with Dr. Anandita Roy Saha ma'am, who is also who is my teacher and associate professor here at University of Delhi. So let's begin with the presentation. Ma'am, next slide, please. Let's start with what is circular economy is. So circular economy is opposite to linear economy, which uses the take, make, and dispose model of production. Whereas circular economy uses the 4 R's approach, that is reduction, reuse, recycle, and recover, which substitutes the concept of end of life. This concept of circular economy has gained prominence in a tool as a tool to achieve the sustainable development in recent times as the awareness among the people about the environment has grown. As a result, we see that many circular business and circular manufacturing models have born. The circular business model is a type of circular is a type of business model which promotes the idea of keeping the resource in production cycle as long as possible. Uh,
Aspetta, devo vedere. Devo staccare la telecamera, mi fa? Ah, eccola.
Hello.
Interrompi il video. Vero?
Can we request everyone to put
Interrompi il
your
video. Come mi
microphone on
facciamo?
mute, please? Miss Tortora, yes. Thank you so much. Sorry for the interruption. Please continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I was at circular business. So circular business and circular manufacturing as an aspect of circular economy has gained a lot of importance. Consumption, on the other hand, despite being an important aspect, has often been ignored. Studies show that only 19% research studies describing the circular economy took consumption into account. Similarly, cities, which is the major center of various activities, be it the production, the consumption, and the waste generation, etc., is often missing from the discussion of designing and implementation of the same. So, the aim of this paper is to review the applicability of the circular city approach in the Indian context and assess the Indian cities in the light of circular and sustainable cities and communities. That is the Sustainable Development Goal 11. So why cities? What is the role of cities in circular economy? So cities are the engine of economic development, which accounts for up to 80% of the global GDP. Cities accommodate around 55% of the world population at present, and it is estimated to grow at 66% till 2050. Cities consume two-thirds of the world energy while accounting for about 70% of the greenhouse gas emission and 50% of global garbage creation. There are some other issues as well, like the higher land values, water shortage, food safety, and energy safety, etc. So, as the population will increase, as the UN has predicted, the resource uses and the energy consumption will also increase, which will lead to increased greenhouse gas emission, and waste generation. Thus, cities are critical for the implementation of circular economy. So, what is circularity in cities? So, circularity in city means, sorry, it means it assimilates the idea of the cir circular economy into cities. It The circular city can eliminate or reduce waste. It keep assets at their highest value at all times and are digitally enabled. As per the EMF, circular cities, in order to in order to achieve the circular city, there are two frameworks that has been formulated. The first is the Resolve framework, and the second is the Circular Cities framework. So the objective of the circular city is to reduce consumption of the resources and waste. Second is to preserve the natural capital and the ecosystem services. And third is to develop negative economic, social, and environmental externalities linked to waste of resources, the degradation of the capital, and urban ecosystems. Coming to the Resolve framework, the Resolve framework, originally which was designed for the implementation of circular economy into the business models, is actually a set of 6 activities which stands for regeneration, sharing, optimization, virtualization, and exchange. Sorry, I have missed the recycle. Yes, optimization, recycle, virtualization, and exchange. So regeneration means switching to renewable energies and renewable materials to restore the health of the ecosystem and to restore its biological resources from the biosphere. Second, sharing, it suggests making products available to different users, which can help keep the product cycle low speed as well as maximize the use of the product. Third, the optimization, it includes the increasing productivity and efficiency and eliminating waste in the production cycle and supply chain. Fourth, recycle, it envisages that components and materials should be kept in closed cycle through reuse, recycling, recovery, and re, uh, regeneration. The fifth is virtualization. It means that the use of resources can be dematerialized, ensuring the virtual utility of the resources. Sixth is the exchange, provides the ability to replace products and services with options that consume fewer resources. While the objective and the targets of resolve framework are impressive, executing the system into metropolitan places has certain constraints. So the first constraint is the business is only a part of the city, whereas city itself is made out of 3 interconnected frameworks, that is the habitat, the fabricated climate, and the financial climate. The second constraint is of the resolve paradigm is that it concentrates on production rather than consumption, despite the fact that cities are center of both. And the third is resolve framework excludes lands, which is which is a critical resource. It also ignores the infrastructure, which serves as the lifeline of the cities. So further moving to the circular city framework. So the basic objective of the circular cities is to create a healthy and flexible environment by using healthy material and reducing the use of virgin materials. The second is to develop energy systems that are reliable, renewable, localized, and uniformly distributed. The third is to create an urban mobility system that is accessible, affordable, and efficient for all. The next is to plan an urban bioeconomy which nutrients are returned to the earth in a sustainable way, generating value and reducing food waste. And the last is to create manufacturing systems that encourages the formation of local value loop. So this next table, ma'am, next slide. This table, it actually compares both the framework, the Resolve framework and the Circular City framework. So this is basically the comparison of the principles of both the uh, framework. For the preserving the natural capital, the Resolve framework it suggests the preservation and enhancement of natural capital by controlling finite stocks. Whereas Circular City, it focuses more on regenerating the natural capital. Further, in Resolve framework, the optimization of resources is by circulating products, components, and materials in use at highest utility at all times in both technical and biological cycles. And in Circular City, resource consumption is reduced by sharing, optimizing, localizing, and substituting, and all remaining waste produced by urban activities is looped. So it basically focuses more on the consumption in order to optimize the use of the resources. Further, ma'am, the next slide. In this slide, the scope of both the framework has been discussed.
Please back up in one.
Sorry, sir.
No, I think would you please summarize in 2 to 3 minutes, please, because we have already exceeded the time. I would also request the other speakers to please keep the time so that we have some time for the question and answer session. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Sure, sir. Okay. Ma'am, can we come on the 11th slide? Okay. Let me explain this slide. It is very important, ma'am, the circular action, ma'am. So this is circular action. So in terms of implementing the circular city framework, the circular city framework has divided the range of activities into two separate actions. First is the circular action and second is the supporting action. The circular action includes these three actions: looping, renewing, and adapting. And the next slide. Supporting action, it includes localization, substitution, sharing, and optimization of the resources. So we will the localization, it does not exist in the Resolve framework, whereas in Circular City it focuses more on localization of the resources. Similarly, in substitution, the Resolve framework, it virtualizes and exchanges, dematerializes resources by developing utility virtually. In Circular Cities framework, substitution of renewable resources with renewable resources and resource-based activities with service-based activities. I will show how these have been implemented in Indian cities in the next slides. So assessing Indian cities for circularity. So why Indian cities? So India being the second largest populated country in the world, of that 1.4 billion population, 35% of the population resides in the city. The annual consumption, material consumption of Indian city has increased by 6%. That is to in 2015 by 7 billion tons from 1.18 billion tons in 1970s. it is expected to reach 14.2 billion tons by 2030 only. India currently extracts primary material around 1500 tons per acre, more than twice the global average, 450 tons per acre. So there is a need, there is an urgent need that India should be considered uh, that the Indian cities to get involved in the circularity concepts. So, as part of the global agenda, India has set targets to reduce the negative per capita environmental effects on cities. Further, as per action, the Sendai framework, the government of India aims to increase cities to adopt and implement policies and plans that promote inclusion, resource efficiency, climate change mitigation, and adaptation, etc. So, in case of adopting the circularity concept into cities, there are some policy targets that the Indian government has already taken, though it has not been spelled out well into the targets, but yes, it does embeds the idea of circularity. For example, the Swachh Bharat mission, it aims to make India cleaner by promoting the idea of recycling and reuse of the waste. Similarly, the Nagar Van Yojana, the concept of regeneration of the natural capital of the city through urban greening, it embeds the idea of regeneration. That is the supporting action under the circular city framework. This table it shows that as per the target that India set to achieve the SDG 11, so India has set 8 indicators. These are the indicators, left hand side, these are the 8 indicators that India has set in order to achieve SDG 11, and the total score of India is 79% out of 100, which is quite well. However, there is long way to go because many of the factors have been missing in this indicator. This table, it shows the policies and schemes for promoting circularity in the Indian cities. So these are further list of the uh, policies that Indian government has taken. These are the examples of uh, circularity in city planning. So this zero defect and zero effect scheme, it attempts to improve the quality of Indian manufacturing while avoiding the negative externalities. Similarly, the Swachh Bharat Mission 2, it actually spells out the circularity, and it uh, uh, emphasizes on the solid waste source segregation uh, through applying the 3R principle. Similarly, the Amrut 2.0, it also adheres the concept of circular economy principles in the conservation and regeneration of the surface and groundwater bodies. Similarly, the BIS has placed BS 8001, the world's first practical framework and advice for enterprises wishing to embrace the CE principles. These are some of the initiatives, some of the actions. It also includes actions from individual persons and NGOs, like the use of plastic in road construction in Chennai, in Indore, Pune, and
Madam, please
Jamshedpur.
wrap up. Please wrap up.
Sir, just 2 minutes, sir. Just 2 minutes. Similarly, for regeneration, Jal Shakti Abhiyan, the urban greening project of Jaipur city, for adaptation watershed from here in Nagpur. Similarly, the reuse of existing infrastructure in Indian cities. Further, ma'am, the next slide. Yes, ma'am. Initiatives for the supporting action. So, Vocal for Local campaign is for the localization of the products. Similarly, substitution, the DO Smart City, which became the first city to run entirely on the renewable energy. The Green City campaign for sharing the co-working spaces in an Indian city, which uh, promotes the idea of sharing of the infrastructure. And for optimization, When it comes to optimization consumption, this actually fails to achieve the target. Instead, the use of technology has actually increased the rate of consumption over the period. So coming to the conclusion, cities with high population density, high consumption and high trust generation must strive to become circular. Following the global call, policies have been initiated in India for transition. However, there is a large amount of untapped opportunity which can be tapped. The concept of circularity already exists in Indian cities. However, there is a need for a national strategy with guiding principles and legislative framework for circular economy incorporating the circular city models. Circular city, so that's it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think, of course, it was interesting, but I see you have already exceeded the time that was allocated to you. I would actually request all the other presenters to kindly summarize or prioritize keeping this 10 minutes slot in mind. So go to the next presentation, which is an paper written by Begum, Rao, and Naik. It's on the role of small scale
I
industries.
think they are not present now. So I
Okay.
request that please call serial number 3 because
Okay. We
Sir, I'm
have
here, sir. Sir, Nazira, second speaker is here.
oh, he now.
okay. We have Miss Rao. So we now listen to Miss Nazira Pathan on role of small scale industries in solid waste management in India, an approach to a circular economy. Over to you, Nazira. Please stick to your time.
Yeah, sure, sir. Can anyone please open? Can we open the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can
please share
someone
your screen. Then
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen, sir?
It's loading. It says that you have a low bandwidth, so maybe there are some connectivity issues. But yes, we can see your screen. So now you can go to your presentation and upload it.
Can you
Yes.
see it, sir?
On present, can you make it on presentation mode, please? Perfect. Please go ahead.
Can you see it, sir?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Good evening, all the delegates and all the people who have gathered on this conference. I would like to specially acknowledge the entire team who have facilitated all these and then helping us to just come in a single platform. Myself is Nazira Pathan and I am a research scholar in Acharya University, Guntur, Andhra Pradesh. And today I just want to cover the role of small scale industries in solid waste management in India. And I just want to take my own city's example. And before I going to start, I just want to say thanks to Garima Gupta ji, who have started about circular economy in the cities. So now I just want to add some more for that, like talking about the younger cities who are just trying to follow these all environmental friendly decisions so that we could create our own protected and greener environment. And for that, so my objective is to just get the focus of the younger cities and the nearby small municipalities who are trying to get this circle economy a productive way. And for that, I have gone through 4 little projects. One of them is to have the municipal solid waste to be collected to create a power and then generate and then power to the government of Andhra Pradesh. And also, there are some very small scale industries to medium scale industries who are using the fly ash that is generated from the thermal power plants and also the plastic recycling that's happening in the very local area. And also, as you all know that Guntur is very famous for the chilies, and there are millions of tons of agri waste that is being generated, and how we use that agri waste as an absorbent in the textile and paint industry. So this is the location, just for your information. It is the approximately of 168 square kilometer area of Guntur. So nearby Angradipalam is the one small town, and where we can, I myself find out the plastic recycling area, and also the very few small traders of flash brick industries. And also close to Guntur area is the Zindal Urban Waste Management Limited, which is trying to produce the power, electricity from the urban waste. And if you start one by one, so this is the Zindal Urban Waste Management Limited, where we can just try to produce electricity. And this is a little bit of information that's on screen. So where they collected 1,500 million tons of waste every day, and then their target is to produce 15 megawatts per day. As an initiation, they started and then produced up to 12 megawatts, and then they are just trying to do some more refinement so that they could start their full-fledged production on them. And they have the manpower of 200, where not only I just wanted to add this, though this is looking like a big scale industry, but for us now, I could add this as a, and this is the chart that they follow so where so where the 7 municipalities nearby Guntur and Vijayawada, they will collect all the solid waste, especially from the households, and then contractors, and then contractors will bring. You see my cursor? I hope you can see it. So they collect the compact, and the compactor from the floor, they will drop down all the solid waste in here.
Very poor connectivity, and we cannot see your slides, unfortunately. So maybe you could stop sharing, and I don't know if someone from Icon could upload your presentation. Dasgupta, is it possible for you to unshare her presentation and upload it from your end? Because I think she has very poor connectivity and we cannot see any of the slides.
In that case, please send us this PPT now. Madam, please send us your PPT in our mail. Then we can share from our side.
We unfortunately we cannot hear you. So what I would request is we go to the third presentation, and if the time permits, then maybe you could upload your presentation later and present. Please, can you stop to share, because we cannot hear you properly or can see your slides.
Sir, if proceed, then other one can easily share their screen. This PPT will not share that.
She cannot. Can someone from Icon stop sharing her screen if she's not able to do it?
Sir, please proceed for the next presentation. If they share their screen, then can be also visible.
Yeah. Nazira, sorry, we had to stop you midway because your network is very poor and we could not hear or see your presentation. What I would request is that we go to the Can you stop sharing? We'll go to the third presentation, and when the time, if the time permits, we'll come back to your presentation towards the end. Is it okay?
Can I continue, sir? Can I continue?
Nazira, unfortunately, we cannot hear or see your slides. So maybe you can come back later when your connectivity improves a little. Let me go to the next speaker, Gianlioro Casoli from Italy, who will present on the reliability and efficacy of research and innovation in plastic materials.
Yes, good evening. Good evening to everyone. And I start to share my presentation. Have you got my presentation, or I have to share? I have to.
I think it's better if you can share it from your system, Mr. Casoli.
I try.
Yeah, please.
Can you see?
It's
the screen?
actually loading. It's loading. We can see it. Please make it on presentation mode.
Okay. And yes. So just okay. And
Perfect.
good evening to everyone. And good evening, good afternoon. And this is work takes shapes from a critics, a complex systemic critics, strictly connected to a logic of circular economy, regarding the reliability and efficacy of research and innovation in plastic materials. This work was want to underline the huge mismatching and paradox. Sorry, and the huge mismatch and paradox between the present recurrent paradigm in investigating the reality that is composed by traditional scientific, the classic traditional scientific process of research, observation, formulation, make experiment, evaluate data, make conclusion, etc. And it characterized by linearity, conceptual reductionism, and mechanistic fragmentation and positivism, and the real substance and the real sorry, I want to change slide. I can't change. Can you see the other slide? Sorry. Hello?
You can see the one on the recurrent paradigm.
Yes, but I can change the slides.
Maybe if you just click on the screen, it doesn't work, or use your cursors.
Okay, sorry. And sorry, yes, and the other sorry, and I said that is the recurrent paradigm, and with the real nature, real substance of reality, that is what we are going to investigate, that is reality and nature, that is a complex system. So that move and works in a total different way, because it's organic, interrelated, it's based on dynamic relation which builds self-organized behavioral framework. It's a show an emerging process, and is a dependence on future evolution on present event, and characterized by several causes, because it's non-linear causes. It shows non-linear causes of cause and effect. And so there is a huge underlying contradiction between how reality works and the quality of the research tool, the methodology used, that are related to the outcome produced in investigating. So this is why it's so important circular economy and the necessity of a renewed paradigm for its characteristic, because circular economy is an interconnected participatory process that is integrated with the complex system of nature. It is characterized by resilience and adaptability to create a new industry with multidisciplinary capabilities. And circular economy is not only a framework appointed to close the loop and optimize the different kind of resources that we use, but more than that, because it requires really a different understanding and approach in line with the principle of complex system and an holistic paradigm in research and innovation. So this is circular economy is characterized by a stream, of course, of operation, processes, a structure. They are diversified and interrelated each other with many parts, resulting in a whole with an overall integrity. And circular economy elements at different level are complex systems open to the environment in a continuous flow of information and energy that creates synergies. This is show that the whole is not the sum of its part, and so the stress is not on the quality of relation, the shape and the dynamic of relation that are formed inside this framework, that are identified with process of feedback that are in constant place at different levels. So, and in this context, there is a creation of meaning. The creation of meaning, of knowledge, and innovation is peculiar, because meaning is created, of course, from cognitive process of understanding and naming the patterns of this kind of relation that are constant in action in circular economy. And these dynamic relations are characterized by variability, by interaction, by reflexivity, and a multiplicity of synergistic process, and a capability to recognize the source and the impact of this relation allow an emerging knowledge and innovation from non-linear process of interaction. So this brings the important aspect of the inclusion of a different kind of paradigm, different kind of perspective that is a complex system perspective in research methodologies, as they are research methodology are complex process of action, interaction, and reflection. And in this approach, consider the different subtle interrelation, the non-linear subtle interrelation, consequence, and impact at different level. So a scientific, at different levels, scientific, environmental, and social. And also on the pattern of relation that are in this way created. And in a very direct example of what I'm saying is regarding plastic materials and regarding the process of engineering, protein engineering, is the taking into account effect of various mutation. And regarding protein engineering and synthetic biology, in the related synthetic biology in bacterial degradation, biocycling, this approach allows protein engineering to be focused on the usage, implication, different levels, environmental and social impact, and the management of the different types of enzymes variant created by mutagenesis to degrade different type of plastics. So takes into account different nuances and different implications that are in place in the activity of protein engineering, with the application of suitable agent model, complex system, and simulation to study stability, properties of them, and their dynamic behavior and probable side effect in the long term. This is a very important aspect. And also regarding synthetic biology, that there are different issues, there are cultural and ethical implications. It takes into account the risks, the risks that are correlated with synthetic biology, because they are very huge and sometimes are not well taken into account. And this leads to this related aspect on plastic materials, that the new materials, bio-based and biodegradable plastic, are really suitable for the
Excuse me,
aim,
sir.
Sorry.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. You've got 2 more minutes to complete your presentation. Kindly make it short.
I have finished.
Thank you, sir.
And biodegradable and based material, new sustainable material are really suitable or not for our purpose to fight plastic pollution. In reality, in according to the report of Econ Institute Germany report, are not, because there is no changes in waste volume and no reduction in the associated environmental impact in the long run. And this shows this situation of the unsuitability of biodegradable and bio-based plastic due to the fact that biodegradable plastics is only biodegradable with some kind of particular condition, and bio-based plastic are not all bio-based plastic are not every kind of bio-based plastic is not biodegradable, but and also neither recyclable, because it could be mixed with plastic, with normal plastic, but it can match with the recycling process of plastic use. And this is a very example of a linear process of proceeding, because this issue is complex and has to have different systemic integrated solution at different level. So in the final reflection, is this subject that I presented is very important and crucial and huge for its future several implications, and to avoid repetition of mistakes made in the past, and so in different contexts with different premises. It's not possible to create a renewed and more integrated social economic circular system with a recurrent old paradigm, but it is possible only with a genuine, complete, interrelated, multifaceted prospect that take predominantly into account how complex system works. This is a very important aspect. And this research topic is very new and at the early stage, and require further exploration and development in practical, focused, detailed application. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Casoli. I just saw that you were actually representing University of Parma, and we all know Parma in Italy for the excellent Parmesan cheese and the Parma ham. And you are quite blessed to stay in such a place with such nice, very important. I think I myself has 1 or 2 questions which I might ask you of the session, but it was to say that we cannot challenge such a new subject with the traditional paradigm is a very important reflection or kind of a critique that you made. Maybe
Yes.
we can revisit some of those concepts. I will ask you questions at
Yes,
the
because
end of the session.
the paradigm is usually is very strong, and it doesn't take into account a very important aspect that are very in line with a new way to see a circular economy. So we have to revisit the stepping stone of what we have built in the past.
Yeah, thank you so much. So we go to the, if you could stop sharing, we go to the next presentation, yes, which is by the paper which is authored by Rupashri Mohanty, R.K. Panigrahi and S. Patnaik from India, and it's about sprucing up of metallic waste from industries. And it says an amplitude of circular economy. Amplitude is an interesting word to use in the title, but let's hear it from the authors. Mr. Dasgupta, do we have the next presenters?
I think no, sir. But next, Rashmi Patnaik is present here. Sustainable waste management and circular economy use of SDG.
Yeah. So, Patnaik, will you be presenting on this or?
Yes, yes. Just give me a minute to share my PPT, please.
We can already see Imana Pal who would be making Rashmi Patnaik.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Can you see my PPT? Is it visible?
it is. Please make it in the presentation mode, please.
Yes. Is it okay now?
Perfect. Go ahead. Please stick to your time. Please
Yeah.
prioritize on the important points. You need not go through all
Sure,
everything
sure,
in
sure.
one.
Sure, definitely,
Continue.
definitely. Thank you very much. So hello everyone. SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goal, as we all know, have a very broad vision to global sustainability with various targets and sub-targets. They offer great potential and opportunity for almost every sector to contribute to a sustainable development. So waste management is one such sector which can contribute massively towards almost all the 17 goals of SDGs. So in this context, yes. In this context, this paper aims to bring out the perspective on the connective links that exist in waste management and SDGs, and accordingly explore the areas of waste management intervention and policy innovation, which can drive ISWM-CE as the promising tools to facilitate a sustainable development. So it is based on both primary as well as secondary research. For the primary research, I did a sectoral observation study through the open-ended discussion with the concerned industry players and key stakeholders dealing with waste management. And for the secondary research, a comprehensive review of published literature, related publications, and documented views on WMC and SDGs was done. And then a content analysis was carried out using the coding techniques, and by reflecting on the information extracted from the published literature and by synthesizing the responses from the relevant stakeholders, areas of WMA intervention and key areas of policy innovation for SWM and SDG integration were suggested. And further, the policy recommendation was suggested for the way forward action also. So coming to the result and discussion, first, the links between SWM, circular economy, and SDGs was studied. And what I found that all these three concepts were very well connected and interlinked. And achieving one concept would require the steering the other two concepts more effectively. So in this particular diagram, you can see this bold purple lines, so which indicate the direct connection of SWM-CE to various SDGs, and this light color orange lines indicate the various interlinkages that exist between SWM-CE and SDGs. So due to paucity of time, it is not actually possible to describe all the interlinkages, but if summarizing all these linkages, it can be highlighted that the SDGs 12, that is responsible consumption and production, SDGs 11, sustainable cities and communities, and SDG 3, the good health and well-being, all these three goals, they have a straight connection with waste management. That means waste management can make maximum contribution to these goals. And then goals, goal number 9 on industry infrastructure innovation, SDG 15, life on land, SDG 14, life below water, SDG 13, climate action, all of them offer good opportunity for WM sector to act towards SDG achievement. And then SDG 17 and SDG 16 both deal with two key aspects, that is partnerships for goals and the institutional buildings. So these two key sectors, they bring good possibility for WM sector to strengthen its governance system. So all the rest of the SDGs, they also provide diverse opportunity for WM sector to innovate and contribute towards SDG implementation. So next, how this SWM and the C can be leveraged to achieve SDGs that was studied, and based on the findings in this particular table, what contributions that SW can make to the specific SDG and its various targets that were presented, and and the right side column you can see various areas of WM intervention. That means these are the actions of the strategic intervention with respect to waste management, which should be taken up to maximize its contributions towards that specific goals. So this I have explored for all the 17 goals, and as you can see, here, the goal number 12, the goal on responsible consumption and productions. Here the SWM, especially the circular economy, can maximum contributions. And here on the right side column, again, you can see the areas of strategic intervention which can maximize its contributions to achieve various targets of these goals. So this kind of explanation has been done for all these 17 goals. So next, by emphasizing on the policy innovations for SWM and SDG integration, I tried to explore the key areas of policy innovation, and these 5 key areas, that is building context-specific resilience system, then accountable and transparent instrument, the green and circular jobs, then collaborative research, and the multi-stakeholder collaboration. These 5 areas should be at the center of all the policies, and this should be a part of all the policies targeting the SWM and SDGs integration. They require special attention by the policymaker when they try to embed the SWM and the C is the key strategic goals to achieve SDGs. So, and again, it should be based on a system thinking. So, key policy recommendations under, accompanying these 5 areas that we'll be discussing in the next slide. And here it is. So as I said in the previous slide, that policymakers should try to build the context-specific ecosystem. As we all know, the different cities across the region and geographics have diverse challenges, ability, and resources. So they need different policy measures and strategies deliberately designed to fit their context. So while formulating the policy and plans for the circular economy, policymakers should should keep this diversity in view, so that the more suitable policies can be formulated for circular economy. And they must try to bring out the accountable transparent instrument by steering the holistic instrument, by binding regulatory instrument, economic instrument, capacity building instrument, all the related factors associated with the waste management. So quantifying the circularity of the products and services across the life cycle stages.
Sorry, ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Ma'am, you got 2 more minutes to complete your presentation. Kindly make it faster.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'm just finished. Yeah. So quantifying.
Can I just make one point? Can I request Raktim and Dinesh, because as a co-chair, just let me manage the time. I'm not interrupting them too much while they're in the middle of the flow. We still have 1 hour and maybe 3 presentations, so we should do just fine. So I request, of course, all the speakers to maintain time, but please let me do the timekeeping. Okay?
Yes, sir. Sure.
Continue, Dr.
Yeah, thank you. So, as I was saying, that policymakers should try to bring out the more accountable and transparent instrument by steering the holistic instrument, by binding all the key factors associated with the waste management. So, quantifying the circularity of the products and services across the life cycle stages can play a crucial instrument here. And then next, by the connecting the research labs, academia, policymaker, industry partner, and entrepreneurial ecosystem will bring out innovative opportunity to address these challenges. Then responsible international authority like ISWMAW, IPLA, UNIDO, and PACE, that is the association by WEF, that is World Economic Forum, that is the special association made for the circular economy. All of them, they should take active role to prepare the timely policies, plans for the effective implementation. And local governments should develop a strategic roadmap based on the local condition and requirement. That is the important thing. Also, local government has to play a very active role. Then involvement of the public bodies at local level is also of the crucial importance here. Then training and capacity building should be robust. That means trust areas of all the existing skill programs should be expanded to the green jobs, and the new capacity building programs should be launched with an aim to circular economy, so that it would develop more skilled and trained manpower for the waste management. So finally, coming to the conclusion, both these concepts, the sustainable waste management and the circular economy, they have interesting links with all the 17 goals of SDGs, both directly as well as the indirectly, and some SDGs which are related to responsible consumption and production, health and well-being, and development of sustainable cities and communities. They have direct connection with ISWMAW, while the SDG is supporting various factors like industrialization, innovation, enhancing the quality of life, below water, addressing climate change, providing decent work. Of them, they provide varying degree of direct and indirect opportunity for WM system to act. On the other side, the whole setup of WM also bring enormous opportunity in areas of strategic intervention, successful implementation of which will likely drive the SDG implementation. However, this policy innovation will further help accelerate this SWM and SDG integration. However, this multi-stakeholder cooperation and collaboration is the key to successful integration, and it is high time that we should start recognizing waste as resource, and this SDG implementation can be much more effective when we start when only we recognize this SWM-CE as a powerful strategic tools to achieve sustainable development goals. And however, as I told, this multi-stakeholder collaboration and cooperation among various relative stakeholders, that is key to the success of SDG implementation and its integration to SWM. So thank you very much. Hello. Sir, I think
I'm extremely sorry. Thank you so much, Dr. Rashmi. We go to the next presentation by Imana Pal and C. Bose, which is about combating food waste for sustainable development from environmental burden to value-added product. Rashmi, maybe you could unshare the screen so that the next presenter could share their presentation.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. Can you upload your presentation, please?
Just a moment, sir.
And please, I would again stress that kindly prioritize on the important slides so that you can finish within 10 minutes, okay?
So actually, I cannot share my presentation.
Or Mr. Das Gupta, can any one of you help?
I'm sending them my presentation. Just a moment.
Yeah.
Sir, we will share from our side.
Please do that.
Just a moment, sir.
Madam, please send us your PPT in our mail.
So then, in the meantime,
I have sent the PPT. Please check once.
You sent in raktin.dasgupta3@gmail.com.
No, ICWOM.
Oh, please send in that to me. I have written in the chat box.
Okay, Imana, while you send the presentation to Mr. Raktim Dasgupta or Dinesh, we see Nazira Pathan back. I can see
Okay.
her. Sorry, maybe you'd like to listen. Nazira, if you cannot upload your presentation, no problem. Maybe you could just speak about these 4 projects that you are working in. Maybe you try to upload. If it works, okay. Otherwise, you can just speak about what you have been doing in Guntur.
I have already sent the PPT to Dinesh, sir. So hopefully he can show the screen.
Dinesh, have you received Nazira's presentation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you just upload it until Imana's? Yeah, maybe Imana can follow her. Yeah, but Nazira, please be brief. We don't have much time.
Sure.
So kindly just focus on the important points.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah. So I just want to say thanks to you all for bearing me. And so as I've just continuing that about the 4 case studies that I have gone through. So one is about the generating power using the municipal solid waste. So they were in Guntur and nearby villages, they were collecting like around 1,500 tons of waste, solid waste, especially from households. And they're trying to, their goal is to produce the 15 megawatts of power per day. And they have the manpower of 200. From them, only 50 members are like engineers and other highly educated people, but remaining all are local people. So that generates the employment for the people around there. So that's one kind of benefit that we can say, that using the waste, they can even produce the electric power that is very useful nowadays for everybody. So how they proceed? So, so can you share the next, please, sir? So this is the flow chart from the left to right. If you see, so there will be compactors that collect the solid waste from the 7 municipalities, and then they will just drop it down into the huge hall where they have the small holes underneath. And then from the solid waste, if there is any waste water that is mixed with that, so that gets separated as a leachate, and then that leachate is there. One more separate tanks are there that will be treated there, and then using the reverse osmosis process.
Please put yourself in mute, please. Yeah.
Okay. So using the leachate treatment plant, they will using the osmosis process, they will just clean that solid waste water, and then they use it for their all the other domestic purposes except for drinking. And then that solid waste that is gathered, that is to be taken to the boilers. So where you can see in the flow chart. So from the boilers, using the incineration process, they will just produce the steam, which helps to move the turbines that indeed produce the electricity, and then they will save it in the generator, and that will be connected to the power lines, and that is how they will just produce the power. And they will be secondary production of the ash, and that they are just planning for throw it in a unmanned area. And also there are some gases released, and that gases also be treated, make sure that they don't have the NOx and SOx, and then they will send it in the no people zone area. Next, sir. So this is just a flowchart just for your understanding, where from the left top, you can see all the solid waste collected. From the down of the holes, they will collect the solid water, wastewater, and that using the osmosis process, they will just use it for domestic purposes. And then from the solid waste, they'll use the boilers, and then they'll produce the electricity, and even the gases, they will be just thrown into the atmosphere where no people are present. Next, please. So using this, there will be huge tons of solid waste that is being collected in the municipalities. And it is new for the people around here because though the Guntur is an educational city, but still there are many families that they don't make proper use of the solid waste. But nowadays, in these 2 years, I could say that there are people using that and taking care of their environment better than earlier times. And also there is a better taking care of the air quality and also the wastewater. So next, sir. And if you go for the second one, is about the fly ash brick manufacturing in Guntur and nearby areas. And we all know that the thermal power plants from the coal, so they produce the huge amount of fly ash. And Ministry of Environment and Forests, they are just having the huge concern about this fly ash. And then they were just start thinking to have the 50% be used as a secondary product in some other industries. But now, if you could say, this is the some of the statistical information that, sir, please next, sir. So these are some of the statistical information that is collected from Ministry of Environment and Forest India, where Andhra Pradesh is producing the 10,000 million tons of tons and fly ash. Sorry, and from there they are trying to use all that fly ash in different kinds of secondary products generating. And these are like for how they're different industries, and also who are trying to produce and secondary products in the Andhra Pradesh. Next, sir. So we all know that fly ash is being used in different purposes. These are some of the pictures that I have taken, where especially in Guntur and nearby areas, these are the secondary products that are being generated. But we all know that fly ash is sometimes used in the agriculture and also in the mine filling, and also there are low-lying areas that is to be covered. So there are different type of uses that we can have even with the what we think as a waste. But now that waste is become a primary production of employment, and we can say that just nearby my area, what I have shown in the location, so there were 10s and 20s of fly ash traders who are giving the employment for the people, not only for the nearby areas but also from the other states. So that is one kind of circular economy that's carrying out. And if can you please just go ahead, sir? Next slide. So these are some of the utilizations that are taking care in Guntur and nearby areas, and these are the pictures that I have taken just beside my house. Okay, next please. And third one major concern is about the plastic recycling. And we know that in India is especially as Garima Gupta already shared about the cities, how the waste is taking a major concern. So this is one of the things, and where we have seen that even I could say that in Guntur area itself, there are some industries which use the recycled plastics. So where could we say that 36% of the total plastic collected is being like from the milk products and packets. And so next, please, sir. Okay, so this is nearby my house itself. So where they were just having a small shed, So where they collect all type of plastics, especially like from milk packets and plastic bottles, and they shred it into small pieces, and then they take into the recycling unit, where they will just again, sir, next please, sir. So they convert those all plastic packets into those small refined plastic particles. So from there again they are trying to produce the secondary products like dustbins and push bins, and also chairs, and also benches and pipes. So I have really impressed when we see it, and even we are now getting major concern in our hometown and in the Guntur city, where they are just sending those plastic buckets and plastic bins to use as a dustbins in our homes. So that's one kind of good point I could say. Next, please. And the fourth, it's not maybe the last but not the least one, because Guntur is very famous for the chilies. And so next, please, sir. Yeah. So here, Guntur and all the nearby places, they are producing as chilies as a major production in their farming. So, but here, not only from Guntur, but all over India, all the states, they will send those chilies, and then they get exported even for the outside countries. So here, it's not only the production, but also, so just let that be him. So, but also there will be waste huge amount. Like I could say that thousands of million tons of waste from the chilies. Next, please, sir. So that is nothing but the chili stacks. So chili stacks are just dumped down previously, but now they just try to get the knowledge about the circular economy. They don't know what does it mean exactly the circular economy means, but they know that using this waste, they can again generate something more beneficial for the other industries. So I could say for this is to have as an absorbment in the paint and textile industries nearby Guntur and in the Andhra Pradesh. So next, sir. So what they used to do, they say, actually in the nearby textile industries, there is a huge concern with the water pollution. And so there were huge amount of water is just thrown into the rivers and the streams nearby. But using these absorbents, they were just trying to convert that wastewater into fine water that can be used in all domestic purposes. So these nutraceutical industrial chili stacks are, which is considered as waste, but now became the major source for their cleaning of water, so that they could have the positive environment. So next, sir. And I could say that this chili stacks separation from the chilies is become a major source of income for the people who are employed and unemployed. And you can see that even there is a very good facility of taking care of the family itself. And also these all waste can be used as absorbent by drying it out. There is a flow chart given at the right side. So where they just dry it, and then they make it as a fine powder. So this will be added to the wastewater. By the fermentation process, we can separate those all waste, and then we can release the normal water that is not harmful for the aquatic animals and the nearby areas. So, and finally, I just want to say that circular economy, which is mainly considered as protecting the natural resources and also making use of the waste that is generated from the primary resources as the secondary resources, so that they could be used not only for the taking care of control of the economy and also the expenditure that they're going through in different industries, but also it provides the employment for not only educators but also the uneducators. And also it will take care, you can say that maybe Guntur is very good in the education, we could say educational city in Andhra Pradesh, but also very good for the giving employment for the unemployed people, I mean uneducated people. And there are many of the women that work in this area. So, and also not just only the cities have the major concern, but also even the small cities and the villages can have the major concern about the protection of environment and also create their own economical resources. And cleaning and caring of environment became the primary for those who have the major concern about the protection of environment. But for the people who don't know about this all, it's like a kind of resource for their income. And I personally want to say that circular economy is really very good for concept for that is existed in these last 2 years, especially in Guntur and nearby areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
So next.
Thank you, Nazira. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
And then maybe, Imana, are you ready with your presentation?
Yes, sir.
Please kindly focus on the major slides and please take to 10 minutes. Please. Don't have too
Yes,
much
yes.
time.
It will be very short.
You know,
So
the general points you can just skip. Just come to what you have found out. Okay.
Okay. Firstly,
Yes.
I want to mention that it is a review work. So how the food waste reduction of food waste improve the sustainable development goals through the creating of value-added products. So mainly food waste contributes to food loss. Food waste and food loss are something considered as similar. Food waste is described as waste or byproducts that will be collected from residents, restaurants, catering services, etc. And food waste is seen as the non-productive streams of components where the financial value of this waste is less than the cost of collection and retrieval, and hence discarded as waste. It has been found that in the EU 27, around 89 million tons of food waste are generated each year. There are, next slide please. There are differences between the generation of food waste between developing and developed countries, because in developing countries food waste is created through the production chain and supply chain, but in developed countries food is wasted at the consumer level. Next slide. So what is the major concern about this food waste? Because natural resources are being used at a rate that they may soon exceed Earth's carrying capacity due to increasing anthropogenic demand on numerous fronts. Our methods of food production, selection, consumption, and waste constitute a severe threat to our world. One third of all food produced is either lost or wasted before it reaches a retailer or consumer's plate. That means the hungry people are unable to get the adequate food. Next slide. Food waste also constitute a substantial loss of freshwater resources because agriculture uses 70% of the water globally, and food waste has a negative impact on the environment. It has also significant societal impact because millions of low-income buyers struggle to obtain nutritious food on a daily basis. So mainly the global attention has grown in recent decades to need to move away from a linear economy based on the take, make, consume, dispose model towards a circular economy. It is believed that the circular economy preserves the value of resources by returning them to the biospheres once they have been used to their original purpose. Energy, water, and nutrients from organic food waste can be recycled to create high value products. While there are numerous methods and strategies for managing food waste, biofuel production or generation of other value-added products, I mainly concentrated on the nutritional point of view. So, how can this food waste can be valorized? There are several techniques. Food waste has increasingly been viewed as a valuable biomass that may be successfully turned into marketable products in recent years. There are several fascinating aspects about the food waste. It is a source of various components such as carbohydrates and proteins, as well as lipids and bioactive compounds. It has become possible to produce a wide range of commercially available value-added products from food waste due to its unique composition and biodegradability, including energy and biofuels. The waste framework directives notion of recovery can be used as generic definition of valorization. When a waste product serves as a useful purpose by replacing other material that would otherwise be used for a specific purpose in the planet or the wider economy, it is called recovery. So next slide, please. There are next slide. Next slide. So these are a few examples of different crops and their waste products. Like coconut, we can have fronds, husk and shell, coffee, hull, husk, ground, etc. So I won't take much time. So mainly we can extract bioactive compounds that are extra nutritional constituent that occur naturally in small quantities in plant and food products. There are different types of bioactive compounds such as antibiotics, mycotoxins, alkaloids, food grade pigments, other growth factors, and phenolic compounds. These phenolic compounds have a great therapeutic and biological activities, like they help to reduce the free radical, I mean, they help to reduce the generation of free radicals. Then that is really harmful for our body, and these free radicals cause lipid peroxidation, oxidation of DNA, and alteration of platelet functions in the human body, resulting in many chronic health problems such as cancer, inflammation, and atherosclerosis. So, how valorization and sustainability are connected? There are four major factors. Number one, that to comprehend the function of food waste valorization in ensuring the sustainability of the food supply chain, the first step must be undoubtedly definition of the term sustainability. To what is sustainability? Sustainability is a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their needs. So food waste, if we utilize food waste properly, then it can improve the economic sustainability, both directly by lowering waste management costs and developing new value-added products from a readily available and inexpensive source, and indirectly by allowing businesses to project an eco-friendly images. As the world's population grows, so does the need for food, and food waste valorization can help to alleviate this problem by increasing food production and optimizing the use of food resources. And environmental sustainability would be immediately benefit from food waste valorization, as garbage would be disposed of less frequently and waste material would be converted into new renewable resources that could be utilized in manufacturing process without depleting our primary resources. So next slide, please. Next one. Next one.
Yeah, I think you
next
can
one.
conclude.
Yeah.
Ms. Paul. Yeah.
Yes. Appropriate use of food waste and byproducts as raw materials or food additives could generate economic benefits for the industry, contribute to the reduction of nutritional problems, and have a beneficial effect on health and mitigate the environmental consequences associated with waste management. At this moment, industries are looking for ways to achieve zero waste, where waste generated is repurposed as raw material for new goods and applications. These measures have the potential to have a significant influence on sustainable development goals and zero hunger challenge. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Imana has at least kept it on time. I have one question for you, which I can come back to. So next, then, do we have Mr. Sumanta Bhattacharya? Yes, I can see. Dr. Bhattacharya would be presenting on an analysis of agricultural waste and in what manner it can be used in different sectors to move towards sustainable development. Maybe very important when we see so much of stubble being burnt in North India, which is actually, they say, that it's responsible for much of the air pollution in Delhi, for example. Again, Dr. Bhattacharya, can you please keep it pinpointed and your conclusion so that we can finish on time? Thank you.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Is it visual?
Yes, perfect. We can see it. Continue.
Okay, so my paper, good evening, everyone. Firstly, I convey my respect to my honorable Professor Shadun Ghosh and Professor Shaha, and also my mentor, Roktim Dasgupta, for their kind efforts and their contribution. My today topic is an analysis on agriculture waste and in what manner it can be used in different sectors to move towards a sustainable development. So in the introduction, as we know that agriculture is a very important sector for any country. And now in our India, just like India is sharing a maximum labor share near about 50%. So by agriculture is connected with employment, new technological invention to facing food crisis. And if we go for the most countries like Asia, India shares 70% on its GDP from agriculture. And due to some primitive and labor intensive agriculture in India, Indian agriculture hardly make use of technology and machine. With the time and space, there are changes and people need to adapt with the new techniques of cultivation. That will also solve many problems. Across the world, 27 million tons of agricultural waste, their maximums are get burned, but we can use them in a different sector like reuse of agri waste, use of treated agri waste water for crop irrigation under strict regulation. My next slide on research review. I found several research paper and there are so many authors are doing multiple types of research on pineapple leaves, banana peels, such like bones, ashes, feathers. There are crop residues which can be used in medical and solid waste management also. And also some animal waste such like wool and like silk waste are also there. Apart from that, agriculture produce and livestock for human consumptions, we have other agriculture products which add to the solid water, wood processing and cutting of forest, paper production where agriculture products raw materials. Then for the textile industry, the production of cotton, silk and wool, which I mentioned earlier, that application of animal manure to improve the soil fertility, structure stability and physical condition is very much important. By the by, obtain of methane gas via anaerobic digestion is also integral part of reuse of agri waste, and also acquire biochar, bio oil and biogas from agricultural waste are very important. First of all, in my findings, I first light on the topic that what are the types of agricultural waste: crop residues, leaf litters, and sodas, forest waste, and livestock are there. And as we know that agriculture will produce 37% methane and 65% nitrous oxide production. From there, we can use biogas. And huge population in India. As we know that India is the second largest country in the population in respect of the world. So in it, the agricultural waste management only propagate wisely in Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, and Punjab and Andhra Pradesh. And my previous participant also indicate her in her slide that in Guntur she have cultivated new policies on chili waste management. So and I just indicate on that, and followed by the Maharashtra and other part of countries are also need to adopt this waste management. Here is the statistic ratio from where we can collect waste. There's cow manure, pig manure, grass slice, chicken heater. I put all the statistical data over there. And the next is that the agri waste policy. Our India, under the Prime Ministership of Honorable Sri Narendra Damodar Das Modi, invented Atmanirbhar Bharat. And for Atmanirbhar Bharat, we can use agri waste wisely. As we know, the reduction via improving irrigation efficiency, developing cultivation strategies, minimizing chemical fertilizer, applying control and process, monitoring scheme, investing environmental awareness, and education to the farmers who are going to use the agri waste are highly impressible in the world. In Uttarakhand, a new biofuel conversion plant are also there, which agri waste can convert it into alcohol, ethyl alcohol, and bioethanol, which can be used by our Honorable Minister Nitin Gadkari. Said that biofuel are used to reduction the price of petroleum and diesel are also very much impressive steps for our government, which also can be an alternative for import fuel from many countries, outside countries. In Iran, pistachio waste has been used for treating water pollution, and Turkey for production of energy to provide light to the city. Agriculture waste being used in textile, because we know that textile is a vast paragreen, and in latest textile it's called pentanox, radons are also there. We can use for the colorations, we can use for several kind of waste management in textile management, such like jute, such like linen, such like other natural fibers also included there, which can reduce very less amount of water, and they are lighter and does not cause any kind of effect on environment. I give a pictorial view on the agri waste used for the fabrication of nano composite. We can use nanotechnology in waste management. We can use nanoparticles indexed in gold to provide application on banana leaves and banana twigs to provide jewelry. We can introduce new parameter in agri waste jewelry, which can be bring soft power to our India also. It can be used as a soft power. It also boost our economy as well as. It is the agriculture waste management concern about highly sustainability, restoring soil fertility, high value chain, cosmetic, reuse of agriculture sector, energy, and then disposal. By this manner, we can fully reuse of irrigation, fertilizer, bioenergy production, pyrolysis and direct combustion, and animal feed and pollutant absorption. We can also maintain the balance between the environment and our globe. Farm waste management, which we can strictly prohibit the burnt of the waste management. It is the malpractice for the farmers, because nowadays agri waste are the real gold of the world. Apart from the managing, recycling and reuse of agriculture waste material, the other purpose, as we can use from the remote sensing, GPS mapping, artificial machine learning, and in the greenhouse gases produces also unhealthy for our India. Not only our India, for gold also reduces in dependence on fossil fuels, as I mentioned, zero. So we can start from waste to zero waste and make our zero agricultural waste for introducing vertical farming, which can be not require any kind of soil. It reduces the use of water by 95%. It also can use water waste management. Hydroponic and aquaponic is cutting down agriculture waste is zero. And by this, we can also introduce urban farming, indoor farming as well as, and that will be a root cause and root initiative for Atmanirbhar Bharat. It's called also prevent the fruit crisis also. As well as we don't need to dependent on any rainy season for irrigation, groundwater or fertilization. With use of artificial intelligence, LED lights with the crop are growing very much well, and very much effectively bioactive, because nowadays we are eating the using of chemical fertilizer. They also reduce the effect of our greenery vegetables and their real values. Now the smart farming consists sensing technologies, software application, communication system like cellular system, telematics, position technologies, hardware and software system, data analysis, solutions, etc. Now way forward, today agriculture waste being used for the raw material of number of components. As we know that, and today we see many food-based cosmetic products are there. It can be collected by PPP model. That should be very effective and very cost effective also. It can be also for the green energy, which can be reducing emission of greenhouse gases, and is also bring a boost up in rural sector also, because we know that in nowadays Amphan and very much cyclone hit in Bengal and many other area in India, where vertical farming can bring a very much effectiveness. As we know that agriculture is a economy which can consist for 2 to 3 months. In the 12 months, farmers are only have 2 to 3 months for cultivating the agriculture, and they go for that. But elsewhere, for the rest of the month, they can go for this. By vertical farming, they are also kind of, we can use for the animal livestock service also there. Now the conclusion is that agriculture is the most important sector and the largest one in India. It's also share 50% labor share, as I mentioned, and we should introduce in such a way that promote this platform. In this platform, I can promote the agriculture waste management that could outcome with an idea of agro waste industries, and that is very cost effective. And in many ways, raw materials collection is zero cost. Wherever the raw materials are there and it's come from waste, it's very less economy line. The next one is references are there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bhattacharya.
Yeah.
Presentation. Then we move to the last presentation, the paper authored by Kuar Pala, Vivedia, and P.R. Jadwa and K.K. Panta. It's an interesting topic which talks about concentration and temperature effect on pyrolysis of low density plastic waste and biomass. Due to the paucity of time, can we request you to focus on the have the presenters ready? Have anyone? Pala, Viveka, Jadwa, or Mr. Panta? Then it's great because then we have some time for some questions.
I think, sir, we will now move to the Q&A session.
We have some time for the questions. I don't know, in the chat box I did not see many questions here, but listening to you, I have some few clarifications which myself I would like to seek for better understanding. My first question would be to Miss Garima Gupta. Are you there? Garima, you actually talked about these two models, Resolve, and had also given some basic, I think, the SDG. Even you said India scored 17, some 8 parameters. What I wanted to understand was, have you looked at some city level scoring of these models? My first question. And second, also mentioned somewhere about per capita environmental effect. So I would like to understand how do you define it and what is the unit of Garima, if you can hear me.
Sir, your voice is not audible, sir.
Hear me now?
Hello.
Very low, sir. Your voice is.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Is it better? Yeah. No, Garima, I was asking that for study have used this to resolve and
Sir, can you just type, sir? Your voice is not audible, sir.
Hey.
Oh.
Okay, then maybe did you understand my question, Raktim? Maybe you could ask her later.
Sir, I am unable to receive your voice, sir.
Now you are audible, sir. Now you are audible.
Sir, can you please type your question, sir?
Okay, I'll do that. So then I move to Mr. Professor Kasoli. Is he here? Yes. I just wanted to understand because you had briefly touched upon this bioplastics. And of course, you said you were a little critical about it. But I also do a little bit of research about resource recovery option from plastic waste. So I was understanding, like when it comes to breaking down of plastics and to become microplastic, have you studied bioplastic? Like to me, it seems like it will be readily released as microplastic because the bonds will break much faster. Is that a true hypothesis?
Yes. There are different I mean point in this in this in your questions. I mean, uh, mm, in bioplastics, we see that they are come from biomass, and there is it's a problem bioplastic, but because much more of them are not sustainable because they're not biodegradable, and also there is problem also in recycling process. And when this kind of material, bio-based plastics, are scattering in the environment, the chemical bonds disintegrate in turn that create microplastics. So, but they are not biodegradable at all. So the plastic are still there. So the problem is that it's a sort of negative loop, because we try to figure out some solution, and we make worse. We make worse. So this is why it's so important. It's so important to adopt another paradigm. So a more all-inclusive paradigm that take into account all the aspects. When we research, when we do some kind of innovation, it's important really to stress the attention on really not only the problem as such, but also the different implication and impact that our research creates. So, and this is crucial because, for example, there are many very valuable research work regarding biodegradable plastic and how to degrade plastic with bacteria. But the problem is that it's focused only this aspect and not the other aspect in bacteria, in the environment. What are the consequences in environmental using protein engineering, synthetic biology? So we take the problem only in one aspect. So it is the same mistake that we did in the past with plastic. When after the Second World War, we discovered plastics, we see, oh, plastic is very good because it's very cheap, because it's very flexible. We can do a lot of stuff with plastic in industrial usage, etc. But no one think about what happened after.
Long-term impacts. Yes. No, my other thing was, do you think that we are doing genetic engineering of bacteria to digest some plastic? Is there any genetic?
Sorry, can you repeat because your voice sometimes disappear.
Yeah, I am so sorry for some. It shouldn't happen, but I was saying that. Do you think that the bacteria are bioengineered now specifically for eating on plastics, or are they all natural bacteria?
For sure. There are several. I mean, not in industrial application, but in industrial application. There are some example of creating enzymes inside a bioreactor, but there are a lot of researchers, regarding creating different kind of designs that biodegrade plastics, and there are a lot of interest in industry to apply this kind of methodologies. So the problem is if we apply because one aspect is to create this stuff in laboratory, and the other aspect is to create this stuff in the environment and in the industrial, in a big scala. I mean, in the big industrial. I mean, no? What I want to say.
Yeah. Thank you. My next.
Can I answer?
Garima, did you get the question? That I
Yes,
think
sir. Yes, I have got the question, sir.
Please, you can answer, please.
Yes, sir. So, sir, the per capita environmental impact is actually the ecological footprint of per person. So, it is a measure of a quantity of Earth's biological productive surface that is needed to regenerate the resource consumed per capita. So, the unit is basically global hectares. Am I audible, sir?
Okay, you mean like we say that we need 2 Earths to meet the needs of the current population? Is it something like that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is like that only.
Okay.
And also, I actually haven't used this. It was as per the report of the Niti Aayog of the Government of India that they are trying to uh, uh, establish a city where the per capita ecological footprint is lesser than it is today, sir.
Okay, so what is this? You don't know this figure for India, for example. Like
No, sir.
how many Indias do we need to sustain the Indian population?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, sir, but I don't have that knowledge.
Okay, thank you. Then my next question would be to Imana Pal.
Yes, sir.
She's here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I actually heard your presentation. You talked a lot about waste, valorization of food waste. But
Yes.
I would like to understand, how do you valorize food waste? Are you talking about composting or some other technology? Like how will it happen at household or community level? What technologies are you talking about?
Sir, actually, I'm a student from food and nutrition, so my paper is not based on the technologies. I want to show how the bioactive compounds, what kind of bioactive compounds we can found from these products, and how some value-added products can is created from those
Okay.
food waste.
But you understand, for creating those products, this waste needs to be taken up somewhere to some plant or at household level, right? Because you can't make
Yes.
phenolic compounds at home. So then it needs to be
Mm-hmm.
taken to some factory or industry or some process. So I was just
Yes,
trying
sir.
to understand that how that would happen. But okay, understand that that was not scope of your research. My
Okay,
next
sir. Thank
question
you.
would be to Miss Rashmi Patnaik. Is she here? Yeah, Dr.
Yeah.
Rashmi. Sorry, Dr. Rashmi Patnaik.
Yes, sir,
Sorry.
please.
I think the way you have linked the different sustainable development goals to the waste management, solid waste management, uh, has any such studies done again at a local context, or is it very generic and
Uh,
for
Actually,
example, like, as you know, we say Indore is the cleanest city. Of course, you have Swachh Bharat, this survection, which you might be aware about. So,
mhm.
what is the
Yes.
relation of, let's say, Clean India survey to this SDG? Have you looked at that aspect as well?
Yes. I actually I was trying to, I mean, get some kind of information related to this, but unfortunately the data is too scarce, and there is, I mean, almost. You can say that it is minimum or null, or this kind of studies we had to work on these aspects. This localization is a very important thing for achievement of the SDGs, and it is the study on this aspect is very limited. So the information for specific regions or the specific cities, that is not really available at this point of time. What this study actually is based on the experience and the interactions that I have done with various industry stakeholders when I was working with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. So that time I got many chances to interact with many industry players who are working very closely with waste management. So they had a view that yes, they want to work closely with the local people, but that policy should be that much robust to give them opportunity to work closely with the local people. So that kind of policy is not actually available. That there are so many policies, but the integration of the national and regional and the local policy, that kind of implementing mechanism is not available currently. So that kind of I mean the
Okay. I think we understand your point. We understand your point. Thank you so much.
yes.
My last question from my end
if you have other questions, always ask the speakers. Sorry, I'm hogging this limelight, but I could not find too many questions. I was interested also to learn little bit about what. And this is to Mr. Bhattacharya, who presented on this biomass waste, so to speak. You know, if I have to ask you a critical question, you know, the farmers, we know they are very intelligent, and government has given. I'm now taking the case of stubble burning in Punjab, for example, or in Haryana. Why are they doing it? Government is giving them money, subsidy, asking them not to do it, but they still do it. And then, as I read, it all boils down to economics, you know, that the small farmers, small landholdings, they cannot hire these big machineries, you know, it's not feasible. So in your study, have you also looked at the techno-economic feasibility of different technologies, or try to say that maybe in a poor country or lower middle income country like India, these technologies would be more suitable than the others?
Good evening, everyone. My proposal is that for like middle class and the lower middle class, like our India have a majority of farmers there who are very small and there are less capital to adopt such a big technologies which are very costly. We can go for the PPP model, private partnership, private public partnership model, which can use to support them wisely and also not to put more burden for the nation, because as we can give a policy or our government adopt a policy regarding this, we need a budget. So without budget our nation cannot go along without the budget. So my strategy and my suggestion for your question is that we can adopt PPP model, and moreover there the awareness program and for the educational program for the farmers who can which makes them interested in this topic, because most of the farmers are not interested in the topic, this agriculture waste management. Moreover that we are talking about waste, but I am talking about the collection of waste. We need to develop techniques to how do we collect wisely the um, the waste, how to collect the waste very well. And not only that, we need to community farming. With community farming and community waste collection is a very important. Like our India, we have villages. They are very small. There are 2-3 villages are there, and we know that in sustainable rural development schemes, which can also implement in a such a way that can provide farmers their needs and give them enthusiastic approach towards their waste collection and income profit from there. And also we can was pick a house.
I think then we are almost we are on time, and it was because
can I add something? Can I add
yes,
something?
Yes, Professor Kasol.
No, just to say that what I presented, there is a practical application in one paper that I wrote recently, last year, regarding plastic pollution in the ocean, where complexity and systemic principle were applied, and analysis complexity principle were applied at this very huge topic, this plastic pollution in the ocean, very complex and very integrated, topic.
So if you heard, but I come from Sintef. I don't know, Professor, if you have heard of this institute. We are one of the largest research institutes. We are one of the largest research institutes in Europe, based out of Norway, and we have an ongoing regional project called Ocean Plastics turned into an opportunity in circular economy. And just before this, we had a technical session where we discussed on various issues, and I completely agree with you. One is focusing.
Sorry, but I can.
Gyres.
So there is problem with your audio.
Yeah. And I think, yes, I have to sincerely apologize. It wasn't so until the last. But can you hear me now?
Yes, now, yes.
I
Now.
completely agree with you that it's a complex, and I think we are hitting at the wrong point, because you see ocean cleanup and all these initiatives and ocean gyres, they're trying to collect plastic from the oceans, whereas they should actually focus on the land-based, for example, interventions, which
Yes.
more or less which contributes to 80%. So I get your point, Professor, that we are maybe looking things from a wrong perspective. It needs to be completely changed, and that point is taken. Thank you.
Yes.
Sir,
More
I
integrated.
request sir to please please for photograph. So I request everyone to please open your camera for photograph. And by that time, I request sir to please may present the chair summary.
Just have left already, or they're just.
Everyone, please open your camera for photograph. Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. So, am I the one who has to make a chair summary?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I don't have anything particularly to add. I saw that there are a lot of young researchers and students. Of course, we can't say the same about Professor Kasoli here, maybe which he has worked much more than me. But I see a lot of young people, very enthusiastic, and doing a lot of good literature review. But they also need to look. I would request them to also look at little practical applications of the research that they're doing. And I really liked, I have to say, I really liked the presentation by Nazira, for example, who exactly looked at 4 initiatives. Sorry to point her out, but I really liked it because it was quite practical. And you could see that what was being done. So I would implore you to also explore and see at local case studies and try to employ whatever you are thinking or whatever you are writing about. I think it will bring a lot of joy. I don't have anything else to say. Very good. We had 8 presentations, but we had 8 presenters, but 6 were present. Some good things. I took some notes and I had some gap in understanding, which I think I have gotten by asking questions to you. Thank you so much for joining so
Thank you,
late in
sir,
the
for your
evening.
valuable remarks. Before we leave the session,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
before we leave the session, I request all the delegates to participate the next session, that is in day 3 in hall 2. That is special session 8, Asia and the Pacific, from 10 a.m. IST.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.